My dear students, in the last class we discussed general syntax for declaration of class, right? So today we are going to discuss example for declaration of a class. Today we are going to see some examples how to declare a class, or else we can say how to implement a class in a program. In the last class just we taken the general syntax of declaration of class, right? What is the general syntax? Class, class name, open flower bracket, access specifier, maybe private, public, protected, end with colon, and afterwards closing flower bracket with semicolon, right? So today we are going to discuss today maybe we are going to see some examples how to declare a class. Let us see first one. What is the first question? Declare a class to implement the date of a day in a program. What is the given thing? Declare a class to implement the date of a day. Declare a class is the given question. Declare a class to implement the date of a day. So from this question what we conclude? We have to create a class called date, and that class must have data members. Data members means properties as well as member functions. So in such a way that it must accept a date and print a date. That is, see what is the syntax? Class name is already given a date, right? So take class date, open flower bracket, private, colon, int, day, month, year, public, void, input date, void, display date, functions, and semicolon. See here, declare a class to implement the date of a day. Means we have to create a class with the name date, and that must include data member, day, month, year, and it must include two member functions to accept input date and display input date. That's why I written like this. See, observe here. Yesterday only I explained what this class indicates. This class is nothing but a keyword, right? Keyword, and this date indicates what? Name of the class, that is this data act as data type for the objects. We are not discussing object right now. In the next class we are going to discuss about object. After declaring objects, for those objects this class name is going to act as data type, right? Okay. So this private indicates what? This private indicates what? Access specifier. Access specifier. This day, month, year are considered as data members. Data members, or else we can also call member data, no problem. And this public indicate what? Access specifier for the member functions, right? And this access specifier indicates what? Access specifier for data members, right? Yesterday only I told class contains data member as well as member functions, and for these members we have to write access specifier. So here data members are there, day, month, year are the data members. For those data member, this private is act as access specifier, and for these member functions also we have to write access specifier, that is public. So why we have to write here private, why we have to write here public means, just for example purpose I written here private, here public. You may take here public protected, or you may take here private protected, no problem. Okay, but we have to mention one access specifier for data member, one access specifier for member functions. I told in the last class why we have to take private, why we have to take public, why we have to take protected, what happens, right? So here I taken day, month, year as private means these are not accessible outside the class. Now I am using here private access specifier means these data members are accessible only inside the class. Right? So depending on our situation, we have to write access specifiers. Okay, simple thing. How to declare a class called date means class date private, data members, access specifier for data member functions. So here the question is implement the date of a day, means we have to enter date, month and year. That's why I taken here three variable: day to accept day, month to accept month, year to accept year, right? And these functions are going to perform operations. That is why I have to consider here two-member function. Means input to date. This function is going to accept day, month, year from the user. This display date function is used to display the accepted date, right? This display date function is used to display the accepted date. Means when we are entering a day, month, year, they are going to be stored in these data members: day, month, year, right? To accept date purpose, we are using input date function. To display date purpose, we are using display date function. Listen here, I am not writing here program to accept day, date and print date. Just I am writing part of the program. That is how to implement a class called date in our program. Till now what we written C++ program, those programs are not contained the topics of class and objects, right? So in this class just I am telling how to declare a class called date to accept day, month, year and print day, month, year. Okay, so this is the one example to implement date of a day. Okay, see here, and whatever the thing we are going to write, this open bracket between this open bracket and closed bracket, whatever the thing we are going to write between this open bracket and closed bracket of class is called body of a class. It's called body of a class. And one more thing we have to observe here, or we have to take care that a class end with the semicolon. We have to write this semicolon. Every class end with the semicolon. We are writing everything: class, class name, body of the class. But we are not putting here semicolon. Means we are getting an error. Program is not going to be executed, because in the syntax what we can observe, a class end with the semicolon. Therefore at the ending of class we have to put a semicolon, right? So let us see second example. That is before going to second example, just one thing I want to tell you. The members in a class without any access specifier are private by default. What he says? He says that the members in a class without any access specifier, then by default it is considered as private. Means we can also write equivalent code for this is class date. What the point is, the members of a class without any access specifier. here I written private, you don't write anything, then by default, if you are not going to mention any access specifier means, then also compiler is going to consider defaultly these members are private. That's why if our aim is to make members as private means, then this is optional. Means in the program our aim is to consider data member as private means need not to specify keyword private here. If we are or else we are forgetting to write access specifier, then automatically compiler is going to consider this data member as private. For example, class date, I am not writing any access specifier, int date, month, year. Next, public, so on, some function. You write same, consider same function with semicolon. See here, what I written? I taken a class called date, and inside the class I consider day, month, year as data members of class. But and this public access specifier is there for member functions. Okay, but for these data members, I am not considered any access specifier here. Then also compiler is going to consider by what I am going to tell you means, if I am not going to mention here access specifier means, then also compiler is going to consider default access specifier, that is private. That is private. That's why this private access specifier is optional. We have to write like this, private, or else we have to consider data member like this without private. If we are not mentioning any access specifier means, compiler is going to consider by default it as private. That's why writing private access specifier for data member is optional. Right? So that's why this is equivalent to this code. This code means it is clear that if we are not mentioning any access specifier for data members, then it is considered by default as private. Okay? So this is what first example. Now let us consider second example, that is declare a class called student with the properties such as register number, name, marks. Then let us see. What is this? Second example, example 2. Declare a class called student. Declare a class called student with properties such as name, combination, address PC, right? So what he is given, he says, second example, declare a class called student. Means we have to create a class with the name student, and he says with the properties such as name, combination, marks, address. Means properties means he is given data members such as name, combination, marks, address, right? So let us see. In the previous example, he is not directly given data members or properties. He just say declare a class called date to accept the day of a day, right? So sometimes he gives in detail what are the properties in or else he can say he is going to give just class name. Then we have to, in such situations, we have to consider needed data members as well as member functions. Here properties are given. Properties means data members he is given, so consider those things here. Class name is student, open bracket, you consider any access specifier, okay, private, public, protected, no problem. Private, because just I am creating a class with called student, so that's why I am saying if you consider any access specifier, no problem. But while writing program, according to need, we have to consider access specifiers, okay. Private, so this is the access specifier. Now consider the given properties, that is given data members. First one is name, right? For name we have to write char as data type, name 30 size, and combination, it is also character data type, combinations means you know, right? PCMD, PCMCS, PCME, electronics, like that. And next marks is there. What is the data type for marks? Int, right? Int marks. Last one address. What is the data type for address? Collection of characters, right? Take down char address 50. What are these? These are data members. Data members with private access specifier, with private access specifier. Now, in order to accept them and display purpose, we have to write member functions, right? So write public, consider member functions like void. We have to accept these student information, right? So write function maybe read info function. Next void, we have to display it, right? Display info function. Next ending with flower bracket with the semicolon, ending with the flower bracket with the semicolon. Right? See here what I written. Class name is student is given, open flower bracket. We have to write any access specifier, that's why I written here private. And afterwards what we are going to write member functions. Those member functions comes under this access specifier, right? That's why I written here data members with private access specifier. Afterwards in the public access specifier I written void read info, void display info. So here these two are what? These two are member functions of public access specifier. This read info, display info are nothing but member functions, comes under public access specifier, right? So in this way we have to create a class. Now second example is over. Let us see one more example. Third example. Example 3. Declare a class called a rectangle with the properties such as length, breadth and area. What? Declare a class called rectangle. Create a class called rectangle with properties. With the properties means data members such as length, length, breadth and area, right? Or else you write in full form alien length, breadth, area. So what is the given data? The given data is consider a class called a rectangle with the properties such as length, breadth and area. So here what is the given data? Class. Create a class called a rectangle. Therefore class name is rectangle, right? Class name is rectangle and given properties or data members are length, breadth, area. Therefore consider private colon, you take data members length, breadth, area. In int or float you may take anything. Int length semicolon, float breadth, comma area semicolon, like that. You can take data type for the data members he is not given anything, so that's why we have to take int, all int or all float or combination of int float. It is your choice. Okay, so now what happened? These two indicates what? These two line indicates what? Declaration of data members, declaration of data members as declaration of data members as private. Next, member functions, write down public void. First we have to accept this thing, right? Length, breadth. So therefore take void input data function, means we have to accept length and breadth. Afterwards we have to find area. Area equal to length into breadth, means we have to calculate it, right? So that's why take down one more function, void calculate function, right? After calculating we have to display using another function. That's why take one more function, void display function, closing of class with semicolon, right? So these three functions are declared under public. Right? So in this way we have to declare a class. So in the next class we are going to discuss definition for member functions. Means here just we considered member functions. We have not written any code for these member functions. So how to write code for the member functions or considered member function, declared member function in C++. That thing we are going to discuss in the next class. Okay, so just today we declared here member functions in as public. In public section we declared member functions. So in the next class, how to write code or where to write code in C++ for declared member function. So that is nothing but defining a member function. Okay, in the next class we are going to see defining a member function topic. Thank you.